Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the most dangerous traps and tactics in the Stafford Gambit. This gambit is objectively wrong, but very popular anyway, especially in online chess games with shorter time controls, because it's full of traps that can end the game very quickly, with black often getting a completely winning position within the first 10 moves. Now, we're looking at the Stafford Gambit tricks mostly for your own safety, with our main goal being to avoid an early disaster in the opening. But of course, knowledge of these traps is a must for you if you want to try and play this fascinating gambit with black and score some spectacular and quick wins. Let's dive in and look at the Stafford Gambit. Okay, here's the original position where the gambit starts, but let's see how it happens. Stafford happens in Petrov's defense. This is the start of Petrov's defense, which is a very popular opening on the elite level. So white has several options here, and main one is knight takes e5. Normally, black at this moment plays d6, pushes knight back, let's say d6, knight goes back, and then d4 popular line, and knight c3 is popular line. But we're not attacking knight. Instead of playing d6, which is main theoretical move, we play knight c6. And this is the start of the Stafford Gambit, again, which is popular in online chess with shorter time controls, because it has numerous traps, often resulting in quick and spectacular wins for black. However, in regular tournament chess, the Stafford is not played by grandmasters because objectively, black doesn't get enough compensation for sacrifice central pawn. Nevertheless, without good opening preparation, the Stafford is very difficult to handle for white. In this gambit, the main problem for white is that many good-looking moves that are often played in other openings are suddenly becoming blunders due to some specific threats. Okay, at this moment, usually white takes knight and we take with d-pawn. Taking with other pawn makes no sense because lines are closed, we cannot attack, we simply down a pawn. So if we want to play gambit, we need to take with d-pawn. Now white has several major options. Knight c3, e5, and d3. And we will go one by one, starting from knight c3. After knight c3, we should develop bishop. So bishop development is common Stafford move. In almost all lines, bishop comes to c5, where it looks at f2. And now, at this moment, white already can blunder and give us game. So trap number one, very natural looking move, bishop c4. Looks good, but problem is that white didn't stop specific threat against f2 pawn. We simply come in with knight g4, and white already in big trouble. Usually people castle here at this moment. Better move by engine is rook f1, but still black is winning. Let me show you main engine line here. Castle, then engine brings knight back. So knight taken, some check here, and black wins exchange. Again, engine claims it's the best line, black has advantage. But people don't play like this, so they usually castle. And then you come queen h4. Now game is basically over. You're attacking h2, threatening checkmate, and you're attacking f2 three times. Common follow-up, h3. Then you just take on f2. And white is forced to take knight. So then take, then king moves, and we can play many moves here. For example, castle gives us completely winning position. We up material and keep attacking. But let's look what happens if they don't take knight. Let's say queen f3. Then we do double check. King moves, we do discovery check, and checkmate next move, unless white wants to give us queen, which we'll gladly accept. But after king g1, we just play queen h1, and this is checkmate. Game is over in just 11 moves. Okay, let's look at trap number 2. The same first moves. We play Stafford, and white plays the same knight c3. We play the same bishop c5, looking at f2. We just learned that bishop c4 immediately loses. Another move that quickly loses is d3. The same reason. f2 will be attacked by knight. Here, the best option for white would be to play bishop e3. Then we'll take. Here no checkmates, but we still have quite big of advantage because we're controlling dark squares. Let's see, white tries to push out bishop back, we support it. White still tries to push out bishop back, we go bishop b6, we're controlling dark squares, and white has problems with development. Objectively, black is winning here. Okay, let's go back and look at trap number 3. Same first moves. We're going to Petrov's defense. We play Stafford Gambit. White again plays knight c3. We play bishop c5. Bishop e2. This move gives us equality. It's not very good move for white. If we want equality, we should play queen d4. Another option is h5. Let's see first how we get equality. We play queen d4, threatening checkmate, threatening pawn. So white castle, then we take pawn. And then we need to be careful here not to miss something on e-file and not to miss d4 attack. Let's play carefully. So we're controlling d4. Let's say they push our queen, we're still controlling d4. And here's equality. We're fine here. But if we want to attack, then we play at this moment, instead of queen d4, h5. And this is typical Stafford move. We're trying to fight for g4 square and bring our knight anyway. Okay, and at this moment, castle, typical move and mistake. White is castling into our attack. Objectively, better for white is d3. This move not played often, engines show it, because it's still knight g4 coming, but white is able to survive this knight g4 move. So the trading on g4, then blocking our bishop on c5, and here white has a little bit of advantage. But quite often, at this moment, after h5, people play castle. And then we're coming with knight g4. And looks like white can simply push us back. And this is trap number 3. At this moment, we're already winning. Better option for white, according to engine, is d4, giving pawn back. We already have advantage, but d4 is the best move for white at this moment. So let me show you what happens here. White is able to survive attack, and we get only better endgame due to bishop pair. But quite often people go h3. Again, it's our trap number 3. And then we just play queen d4. We're not moving back our knight that is attacked. We're attacking f2 instead. Now, this annoying knight can be taken in 2 ways. Let's see what happens if bishop takes. Then we take, and after d3 we play queen d6. Here we're already winning because white is threatening, black is threatening to take on h3, and you cannot cover this threat. For example, if g3 played, then we just checkmate quickly. This would be already checkmate. So taken with bishop, not very good, but taken with pawn, let's see what happens. We take as well, and g3. Now we play queen e5. Threatening, taken on g3 and checkmate. Let's say if white ignores our threat, we will just checkmate. Also, if white tries to cover our bishop by sacrificing pawn, we simply can play queen h5, and now white is not able to stop threats on h-file. So let's say they take bishop, we checkmate. So after queen e5, then the only move that is left is king g2. Now it looks like black's attack is stopped. The problem is that if we play queen h5, white will play rook h1 and block our queen. But we have way better move. Sacrifice of the bishop on f2. Now, let's see what might happen. If rook takes on f2, then we regroup to h-file, and white is not able to stop the threats on h-file. Here we just win it. So better take would be with the king, but we keep attacking. Check. And then we chase this king. So we bring bishop. Here, our queen attacked, we move back, and according to engine, we have huge advantage here. Black basically has unstoppable attack against white's king. Okay, now let's move to our trap number 4. Okay, The first moves are the same. We're going to Petrov's, going to Stafford. And after knight c3, bishop c5, already looked that bishop c4 is blunder, d3 is blunder, bishop e2 mistake, but blunders might happen later. Let's say white plays good move, h3. This is the strongest move by engines. So bishop e6. Now d3, another strong move. So now we play queen d6 and bishop e2. So far white played perfectly and has quite a bit of advantage. And we castle. And now our trap number 4. At this moment, a lot of people castle. And then we go for unstoppable attack. According to engine, white needs to play bishop d2 or maybe queen d2 or something else. So, but these moves, they don't look natural. So bishop d2, people usually don't consider such moves. Queen d2, people also don't consider such moves. But they're good moves because they stop specific threats. But castle is trap number 4. So here we sacrifice the bishop. And now bishop cannot be taken. Let's see what happens if bishop is taken. So we come in with check. Then we come in with another check. Bishop d6, threatening checkmate. Stopping our checkmate, and we come in from other side. And then we win rook and get huge material advantage. So basically, once we sacrifice on h3, bishop cannot be taken. The best play, according to engines here, queen d2, but we still have advantage if we just retreat the bishop. Okay, let's see what we did so far. We covered several traps after knight c3 move. Next, we will cover e5 move at this moment. Now we look at several traps that might happen if white plays e5 at this moment instead of knight c3. e5 actually is quite good move for white and it's good practical choice because it limits black's options. Knight e4 is the main move here. It's actually not the best move by engine. Engine says that knight d5 should be played, but then it would be kind of difficult to create any counterplay. We're down a pawn, a bit worse, and the gambit doesn't make sense. So after e5, main move, where a lot of traps happen, is knight e4. Okay, now f3 would be our trap number 5. If white plays f3, tries to attack our knight, they clearly miss attack on important diagonal. After queen h4, basically game is over. g3, knight takes, pawn takes, and we take rook. Simple as that. So f3 clearly should not be played. Okay, let's go to our next trap. Let's go from the beginning. We'll put Stafford, knight c6. And again, white plays e5, which is good option for white, and we play knight e4. d3, this would be our trap number 6 and very famous trap in Stafford. Now it looks like white is just pushing our knight back and we're in bad position. But we're winning actually if we play bishop c5. Again, magic f2 square. White cannot stop attack against f2. Let's see what happens. If they take our knight, we take on f2. Deflection. We're threatening queen. If white tries to keep queen, plays king e2, we're still winning queen with skewer. And then we can take queen and we're completely winning. So also after d3, if we played bishop c5, bishop e3 will not help because we'll trade bishop and come with queen h4. Now white needs to play g3 because if they move king, we will checkmate immediately with queen f2. So they have no choice. They play g3. We again take on g3 and winning material. This was trap number 6, which is playing d3 at this moment. Okay, let's go to the next trap. Again, let's go from the beginning so we don't get confused. So go to Stafford. and e5. We play knight e4. And at this moment, white can play bishop c4. This move is a mistake, not blunder yet. And it's a bit tricky situation. So we need to play bishop c5 here. It looks like we can just take on f2 and win material. Let's say we take, king takes, double attack here, king moves to e1, and we're winning. Unfortunately, if we try to take on f2, white is not required to take our knight. White has very strong move, queen f3, and now white is actually winning. So we shouldn't go for immediate gratification with knight takes f2. So instead of taking on f2, we should play bishop c5. And now our trap number 7 would be castle at this moment. The best option for white was queen f3, but let's first look at castle. After castle, we take on f2. Now it works. So let's see what happens. Rook takes, now we take, we fork, take bishop, and we're fine. And the difference is that if we take at this moment, then queen f3 not helping, because we can cover with bishop e6. Let's say after bishop e6, take, and if rook takes, we have skewer on f-file. Bishop is pinning rook, and we're winning material. If queen takes, we can simply take back with bishop, and we have huge material advantage. Okay, but let's look a bit back. So after bishop c5, castle was trap number 7. The best move for white, according to engines, is queen f3, threatening checkmate on f7. According to engines, black should play queen h4. Some wild play here. d4, bishop takes d4, and wild game continues with complications where white can keep a small edge with a precise engine play. People don't play like this, so very common blunder at this moment is castle, and again, we're winning with knight takes f2. Okay, let's go to our next trap. Let's repeat the moves from the beginning. Again, we're in Stafford. And e5 again, knight e4, and the strongest move for white is d4. Now we can play tricky move, queen h4. The best option for white is bishop e3. If white plays g3 instead, trying to push our queen back, we're again winning. This would be our trap number 8. So we take on g3, and we win rook. So if pawn takes from h-file, we take rook. But if pawn takes from f-file, we also take rook. But we cannot take it straight. It's against the rules. So we play the trick here. We're forking, and we get the rook as well. Okay, this was trap number 8. And now we'll go to trap number 9. Let's go with the same moves. So we're again in Stafford. And white played e5, which is good option for white. But played tricky knight e4. White played d4. Played tricky queen h4. And now white didn't play g3, didn't blunder. They play bishop e3. Now white has advantage, but we can have one more trick here. We play bishop e6. Now, if white plays knight d2 or bishop d3, we don't have any more tricks and we're in bad position, unfortunately, but this is the nature of the Stafford Gambit. If white plays correctly, we're in bad position. But we have one more trick. So if white plays g3 here, we still take on g3 and our trap number 9 works. We take, again, if pawn takes, we take rook. And if other pawn takes, we play queen e4. Now, no check, but it's still fork. Queen attacks rook and queen attacks bishop. Let's say queen e2 and we take rook. And if rook moves, we still get rook. Because after we take on e3, we're attacking king and rook, and there is no way for white to save this rook. So now we covered several traps that happening at this moment after e5. And next we will cover d3 move, where a lot of traps can happen. Now we're looking at several traps that happen after main theoretical move d3. So in this position, d3 is good move for white. And we play usual move bishop c5, developing bishop to active position. And now white has opportunity to blunder right away with bishop g5. This move actually looks good for white's opinion knight, but unfortunately knight can move. We can sacrifice bishop on f2 and unpin here with knight takes e4 check. Now we're getting this bishop due to threat to the queen. And actually let's take with the knight, and we're up a pawn, king already moved, black is completely winning. Notice that we should go correctly when we're doing this unpinning tactics. We're giving away bishop and we take on e4. If we try knight g4, it will not work because white has queen takes g4 move. And then if we take queen, they take our queen, we take bishop and we're down a piece. Let's say white plays simple knight c3 here, and we're completely losing by material. So bishop g5 move is losing due to bishop takes f2 check followed by knight takes e4. But it also losing due to knight takes e4 immediately. It's even better option for black actually. So after knight takes e4, white cannot take queen. If they take queen, we take on f2 and checkmate follows with the bishop. This is a modification of famous checkmating pattern, the Legal's checkmate. In Legal's checkmate, knight will come and checkmate here, but we don't have knight, it was already traded, so we're coming with the bishop and checkmate happens. Okay, so again, at this moment after d3, bishop g5 is very bad idea for white. Black is winning in two ways, with bishop takes f2 and with knight takes e4. And this was our trap number 10. Okay, let's go to our next trap. Let's go from the beginning. Let's put our Stafford Gambit, so we remember where we are. And d3 main theoretical move, we play bishop c5. We just looked at this bad move, bishop g5. Bishop f4, another bad move. Now we don't have this unpinning tactics, but we have typical attack with knight g4. We had so many knight g4 attacks today. So here, f2 attack. Looks like white is defending with bishop g3 and we don't have anything, but there is continuation here for black. We can play queen f6. Threatening pawns on f2 and b2. This is double attack. And now, if our knight pushed, we come in, taking pawn, threatening rook, and then we have tactics here, attacking queen. And if white tries to trade queens, instead of trading on c1, we take rook. Decoy. And after queen takes queen, we have fork and getting queen and big material advantage here for black. Rook up. Okay, so let's go back. We were looking at this bishop f4 move. So we so far determined that bishop g5 not working. This was trap number 10. And bishop f4 not working. This was trap number 11. Bishop e3 is working for white, but still not the best move. Let's see what happens here. There are some traps in this line. So after bishop takes, pawn takes, we come in and starting targeting weakness on e3. Knight g4, queen f3 was played quite often, and queen g5. And at this moment, white can make mistake. Some games were continuing with king d2, protecting pawn on e3. The best option actually for white queen f4 and then some engine-like lines. Let me show you a little bit. Queen f4, queen c5, and after king d2, after this check, knight c3, and white has advantage. But this is not easy to find, so king d2 is natural move, protecting pawn on e3. But black has a tricky move here. They can take pawn on h2, which looks what? Why are we giving away knight on h2 if rook can just take? But the trick is, if rook takes, this would be our trap number 12. Black has tricky fork with queen, attacking rook, and attacking pawn on b2. And it's not just pawn on b2. If we take pawn on b2, we will get rook on a1. That's what happens here. Black is winning material with this tricky queen fork. And after queen f4, then we take knight c3, queen takes a1, big material advantage. Okay, once again, we were looking at this bishop e3 move. Move by itself is fine, but first of all, it's not the strongest objectively, and second, black has traps here as well. Okay, what else? After bishop c5, another move that is blunder, knight c3. And we actually covered it before. This is transposition. We'll count it as trap number 13 because it's different order of moves and we still need to know how to get to it. But this is basically the same as knight c3 was played first and d3 was played second. And I hope you remember what to do here. We have typical knight g4 attack, threatening f2 pawn. And let me remind you the lines. Bishop e3 was played, we were taken again, and after queen f3, queen g5. It's difficult for white to finish development because black controls a complex of dark squares. So basically, we know that knight c3 is losing as well, but we already knew it with different order of moves. Okay, another move that is bad at this moment is e5. Another transposition here to the position that we already covered. Do you see how we can transpose? Knight e4, and we transpose that the position that was covered after e5, and the knight e4, d3, and then bishop c5. So this is famous trap, but this order a little bit unusual, still we're in the same position, and this would be our trap number 14. Let me remind you lines here. If knight is taken, we take deflection because queen threatening queen. Here would be skewer, and we get the queen. And also, after this knight e4, we were looking at bishop e3, then take, check. Remember, if king moves, we immediately checkmate. And if pawn g3, we take on g3, and then we get rook. This was already covered before, but again, this was trap number 14, playing e5 at this moment, because we're transposing with knight e4 to previous position. By the way, knight g4 also winning for black, but knight e4 stronger. Okay, but now let's look at normal play by white. Okay, let's go from the very beginning and let's see what happens in the main lines here. d3, bishop c5, and as we already know, black is threatening to do something on f2. Knight g4 main threat, but potentially also black is threatening to take on f2 first, maybe take on e4, because we have pin on d file, maybe even take on e4 immediately, and then take on f2, something like this. So white plays bishop e2, and this is very strong move. It stops all immediate black threats. Now, black normally at this moment plays h5, typical move, already know it's played quite often in Stafford, playing knight g4 next. Okay, so now the strongest move would be h3, just stopping our play. And here we're actually in bad position, but we still have tricks. We can play queen d6. Now if white plays c3, we're kind of in trouble. If white plays knight d2, then transferring knight on f3, white is quite better. But if white castle at this moment, we're winning. This would be our trap number 15. And you probably already know what we're doing. We're sacrificing bishop on h3. And again, this bishop cannot be taken. According to engine, king h1 is the best move, but we're winning anyway. So let's see what happens if they do take bishop. Then we're coming with forced moves. We're attacking king, because it's pin here. Then we take. Then we play bishop d6, threatening checkmate. They cover. Now we play check. And then we're coming with knight g4. No more play. Checkmate is coming. Next move is threatening queen h2. And the only way to stop it, to take knight. Now, no queen h2, but we're still checkmating by taking bishop with pawn because we have rook on h file. This is checkmate. And again, at this moment, castle was trap number 15. In addition, instead of playing queen d6 here, we can try to play queen d4, kind of forcing white to castle. In fact, white is not forced. They might play rook f1 and then try to prepare castle this way. But castle is actually working at this moment for white. It's not blunder. White is good here, according to engine. But we again play this queen d6 move. And now white should be very careful at this moment. Because if they play natural development move knight c3, this would be trap number 16. We're again winning here. But let's see what white should play. Again, c3 with idea d4 would be the strongest play for white. But let's see what happens here. Knight c3, trap number 16. Another bishop sacrifice, and it cannot be accepted. So here the only move is d4. Actually, engines claim that after bishop takes d4, knight d5 position somehow is equal. But people don't play like this. If somebody played, we'll think that it's engine assistance here, because highly unlikely that these moves would be played. But if bishop is taken, again we're coming with big attack. We're coming with check, then again check, then bishop comes, e5, but it's not helping, then queen g3, knight g4, and that's it. Not much can be done because we're threatening checkmate on h3. And again, we know that if bishop takes, it would be checkmate with rook, and this was our trap number 16. Okay, let's go to our final trap number 17. Okay, let's go through this moves. Again, went the Stafford Gambit. And d3, this is good move for white. We play bishop c5, bishop e2, and h5. Okay, here, as we already discussed, h3 is strong move. Castle, at this moment, it's actually a mistake. So we still don't win by force, but close to it. So we play knight g4, and after h3, we play queen d6. And now it's very difficult for white to find correct play. The correct play is e5, which actually leads to equality. But again, if white knows the theory of Stafford Gambit, they will not be here. Why they need to go to equality if they can get advantage in some other lines. Here, after e5, we play knight takes e5. Oh, notice that if we take on e5 with queen, it's bad for us because white has bishop takes g4, threatening rook e1. So again, after e5, knight takes e5, then knight c3, and this position is equal. But again, this is not very likely to be played, because if white knows the theory, they will not be here. So, but take, and then we are winning. This was our trap number 17. Now we play take, threatening checkmate, and not much can be done. So white can delay, we take, rook e1, and we're still coming with a checkmate. Now we're done with our examples of traps and tactics in the Stafford Gambit. Remember, the main goal of studying these tricks is not just to catch your opponent, but to make sure you never get caught yourself. Use this knowledge as insurance policy to guarantee your own safety in the opening when you play against Stafford Gambit. And of course, if you like these traps, you can try them in your games because you will likely score some quick wins with this gambit. Just remember, the Stafford Gambit is an objectively wrong gambit, meaning that it will work only until certain ranking level. What ranking level? My rough estimate is that it should be working well until maybe 1600. Beyond this ranking level, you might expect only some occasional wins. This means that you probably should not employ Stafford Gambit as your main opening for black, instead treating it as an extra opening weapon for games with shorter time controls. Stay safe, stay sharp, and I will see you all in the next video.